for doing this week's Coffee Talk. We are excited to hear more on your presentation, Building Bridges to Businesses Through IVI Maynooth University Microcredentials. So I'll hand it over to you, Michael. You can just have one, so we can probably get started. I know people might just be continuing to join there for another couple of seconds. But whenever you're ready, you can get started. Thanks, Michael.
Great, thanks so much, Karen. Business Through IVI, the Maynooth University Microcredentials program. So a little bit about me first. I've been involved in IVI's academic education, professional training and certification programs for about 12 years. And through IVI, I trained about 8,000 people globally. Most recently, I've been involved in initiatives like the Masters of Digital Healthcare Transformation hosted by UL, but co-created in IVI Maynooth, as well as the Rethink Redesign program, which was IVI's response to the COVID pandemic to help businesses transform their operating models so that they could continue to survive and thrive through that particularly difficult time. I'm just about to complete my doctorate in education leadership. I'm writing up my thesis at the moment, and it's really about how digital transformation is impacting the higher education sector in Ireland, and then beyond that, how Irish universities and TUs are helping people build the skills that they need in order to survive and thrive in the current climate. Just a bit of context, first of all, about jobs and employability and marketability. As we know, and increasingly more people need a broad range of skills in order to contribute to a modern economy. The workplace is changing, and with that, employees' core job skills are changing. A recent survey by the World Economic Forum estimated that by 2025, just 2 years from now, about 50% or half of all working age people will either need some type of reskilling or upskilling to ensure their skills are up to date. When we talk about upskilling and reskilling now, it's not so much the traditional skills that would have been used in the past. It's really about what we call 21st century skills, which refers to that and a broad range of knowledge and skills and work habits and character traits that have shown to be critically important to career development and success in contemporary workplaces. The kind of collective name for these is what we call transversal workforce competencies, which is a fancy way of saying modern workplace skills. And generally speaking, we can say that these skills aren't related to a particular job or task or academic discipline or area of knowledge, but skills that can be used across a wide variety of situations in a work context. If you look at the graphic on the right-hand side of the screen, actually left-hand side as you look at it, I think, you'll see they're actually broken down into 6 areas: interpersonal skills, intrapersonal skills, media and information literacy, global citizenship, critical and innovative thinking, as well as other skills associated with that. And you can see then the bullet list on the right shows what that looks like. So if we're looking at interpersonal skills, it's the competence to present and communicate effectively, to have organizational skills and teamwork and so on. But equally, it's around ensuring that you can critically analyze and understand the information that you're given, that you can manage complex workloads and complex tasks. So when we look at those skill sets and we look at, how might people acquire those skills, this is really where higher and further education comes back into play. So unlike traditional professional training, which is very much about teaching people how to do specific tasks and jobs in a particular workplace or for particular employment, what universities can offer is the breadth and a wealth of experience and knowledge to allow people to acquire the skills that they need. So as part of Maynooth University, it's the academic hub for the Mid-East region here in Ireland. You can see the highlighted area there on the graphic. So really that's the area around Kildare, Wicklow and Meath, the area around Dublin. Specifically, Maynooth University's role in this Mid-East region is to ensure the availability of skills and talent to realise the Mid-East's future economic potential and address upskilling requirements. And that's for everyone from Intel over Leakstep all the way down to Fred in the shed, who may be a digital photographer and is just starting up a new business and is using digital technology to communicate with his clients and to set up his e-portfolio. And it's literally everyone in between. The university, right in the centre in Kildare, is ideally positioned to have a leading business-oriented set of programs that leverage the opportunities that are available and the skills that are available in the region. If we zoom in then in Maynooth and we look at the Innovation Value Institute specifically, our role within the university is to look at how digital technology, digital trends are researching a whole range of industry and market sectors. And you can see those on that outside green component of the graphic here. You know, everything from financial technology, digital health, manufacturing, smart cities, mobility of the future, and so on. Through the research agenda that IVI has, which is around artificial intelligence, data governance, cybersecurity, enterprise architecture, and so on. When we look then at what IVI does in particular, it's focused on building capability and realizing great business value from technology. So we see its vision really to transform organizations to consistently realize the business value of technology investments and practices, and build best practice models, and also manage the delivery of technology investments for organizations. But we can only do this, we can only build organization capability if people have the right skills and abilities to carry out the tasks and jobs and responsibilities that they need to do that enable an organization to achieve its goals and objectives. So there's a virtuous circle between an organization or firm's ability to achieve its goals and provide some kind of product or service, and the people who work within that organization, and then the people within that organization actually having the right skills and abilities in order to achieve those goals for the company. So if we look at this graphic again, we add in one extra layer on it now, as well as working in various research domains around artificial intelligence, which of course is in the news at the moment with ChatGPT and so on, other digital technologies. Maynooth University and IVI work very closely within what we call our enterprise ecosystem, where we engage with Meath Enterprise, the Mid-East Regional Skills Partnership, the FinTech Corridor, and the local enterprise offices to reach out and provide accessibility to the competence and skills and expertise available in IVI to help organizations build their capability. As part of that agenda, one of the things we've been looking at over the last year or so is what external stakeholders, what customers' expectations are of universities. So within the university, of course, you have students who are acquiring new skills and the graduates who will start on the workforce of tomorrow. But equally within that ecosystem, there's a whole range of companies, some who I mentioned earlier on. Within those companies, there's people who do need to upskill and reskill. And what we're finding with those people is their demands of higher education and academic institutions is changing. So very much, a lot of the characteristics of, kind of online retail are being applied now to education. So people want omni-channel learning, the ability to learn anywhere, anytime in a seamless fashion. Then we want to move beyond the borders of just their role or just one particular aspect of their skill set into, all different types of skills that they can acquire from a whole range of education service providers. Equally, we're looking now as the birth rate goes down at people coming back into education and becoming lifelong learners, ensuring that the skills that they have are increasingly interconnected and integrated with the work that they do. And also the demand to move away from the longer form traditional 2-year or kind of 6-month academic program for a cert or a dip or a master's degree into new shorter, more flexible courses with your range of providers providing credentials that are of immediate benefit to an individual to help them carry out their job. And these are called microcredentials. And right now within Ireland, we're IVI and Maynooth University are part of an initiative across all of the 7 universities called the IUA Microcredentials for Enterprise Initiative. And really this is about using the competence and skills and expertise in the universities to create a set of interlocking programs that close skill gaps and improve enterprise productivity, that meet emerging enterprise needs and trends, and aid career development and progression for employees. Also to expand existing training and professional development programs, to enhance staff retention and improve recruitment, and also to moving on from the pandemic, and we're still in that post-pandemic era, to understand what the impacts are in terms of people's skills and what new skills are required in order for organizations to carry out the kind of jobs that they need to do. So at the moment, for example, in the service industry, there's a huge demand for staff, which clearly isn't been met. So how can technology, for example, help innovate new ways to achieve those businesses' goals without the reliance on the old manual labor that they would have used before the pandemic? So here at Maynooth University, we are kind of pioneering this program right now. As you can see from the list on the right-hand side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 five micro-credentials available at the moment, one of which is the number 4 there on the list, the micro-credential on digital transformation, which was designed and developed in the Innovation Value Institute. So this really is a shameless plug for our new micro-credentials program. It's called Leading Digital Transformation in Organizations. It starts in a few weeks, in the last week of February. It lasts 6 weeks. It will give you a master's level module credit, 5 ECTS credits. So that's something that you can essentially put in the bank, and that at some point in the future add it to other credentials that you have to acquire qualification. And so, as well as having a lot of knowledge and expertise associated with the program, there's also academic recognition for the work that you do. The program itself is blended because, the clue is in our name. It is the Innovation Value Institute. So we've taken a very pragmatic approach to delivering the course through a series of lectures, which will be both online and in person, as well as workshops and practical organization-based transformation projects. So the idea is that the skills and expertise and tools that you acquire in this program will be focused explicitly on help you solve your business problems. We use a design thinking approach, so it's very much an agile mindset, and it's very much about using the expertise in the room and other resources available to us to solve practical problems that organizations have and help people build the skills and confidence to address the new challenges that they might be encountering in their workplace with ease and with confidence. A little bit more detail about the program. It's a little bit of an FAQ really. So like I said, we deliberately designed this course to be a short hit of knowledge, really to equip people with the foundational knowledge, skills and strategies to become digital leaders in their field. For those who already are using technology, it's about deepening your ability to lead transformation programs. So as well as the technology side, there's components about change management, for example, about working through, the practices and scoping of projects and so on, from planning all the way through to realizing the value of the time and effort that you put into designing your program. And I say it's very pragmatic, it's very organization based. It's not theoretical beyond, what you need to know in order to understand the basics of a topic. The course really is for anyone, so people kind of mid-career, for example, who are looking to update their digital leadership abilities, for senior managers and organization leaders who want to see how they can use technology and digital to build operational excellence and organization agility. And it's also appropriate for those who maybe just graduated from university or maybe just looking at, changing jobs to a new role and really just beginning to learn how to develop their digital transformation knowledge and skills. The course is very comprehensive. It covers everything related to digital technology, from data and data governance, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and as I said, change management practices in order to boost your abilities and your organization's value proposition. We will deliver the course in Maynooth University in the boardroom that we have there, in the training room that we have there. But of course, it will also be available via Teams, and people can, of course, access lectures on demand once they've been recorded and once the material happens. So there's a bit more information there on how to join. You can find us via maynoothuniversity.ie/graduate studies and look for the Microcredentials program, and you'll see all of the information about registering on the course there. And that's it. I think I was slightly under. I think I'm just about 14 minutes. So I'll stop there now and close my show so I can see everybody again. I can't see anybody at the moment. So that's it from me for today. Any thoughts, any queries or any questions?
Just to say thanks, Michael. That was really good and very informative. So thanks very much. And yeah, I'll hand it over now to anyone that would like to ask any questions.
So maybe I'd start a question. Thanks, Michael, for giving the overview of our new micro-credential program on digital transformation. When we work with organizations, small, medium-sized, or even larger ones, what would you see as kind of the biggest barrier on digital transformation, and maybe then also how that new course on digital transformation can help actually to address some of these barriers?
Well, thank you, Marcus. That's a great question. And it's one, in fact, in our more kind of research-based capacity I've been addressing recently. So this is based on actual experience. The biggest initial challenge organizations have is understanding where to start. Sometimes they can look at the whole digital agenda. They can look at all the range of technologies that are available, the range of services and products that they can use, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So the first thing that this course will do, and it's the first thing IVI does anyway as part of its research methodology, is help an organization identify what they do well, what they do less well, where the gap is, and then what the priority is in terms of building out that gap so that the organization can identify what it needs to do first. And that's integral in this course, and within any methodology, within any way that you're asking people to try and figure out, what the problem is in the first place. So as I say, as well as having the material available in the lectures, students on the course will have the ability to access IVI's extensive body of knowledge to begin to help them understand what those challenges are. My experience is, while most organizations are interested in getting right to developing new services and products and innovating new ways of doing things, sometimes the initial challenges are a little more upfront than that. They need to look at, for example, their architecture. Can they be agile enough in order to change and try new things? Do they have the right skills in place? Do they have the right strategy in order to help them design and define what a new market might look like for them? For some organizations, and again, this is kind of a startling figure, but over 60% of Irish SMEs still don't have either a functioning website or a website that allows a potential customer to carry out a transaction with them. So for some organizations, it's really putting those fundamentals in place. But for an organization at that stage, doing this course will give them the same value as an organization that may be a little bit further down the transformation pathway. It's all about the right approach at the right time for the people that we're working with.
I have a question, Carol.
Go ahead, Leanne. Yeah.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for the lovely presentation. Would you consider transversal competencies as the sort of future of human agency or human currency? Something similar to how blockchain has sort of developed and it became the future of money. And I mean, it's still going sort of in that trajectory, in time to come. But now just to sort of focus on what you were saying, and I'm very interested in transversal competencies. And so would you consider that sort of to be the future of, a human currency? Because I mean, that makes people very unique in terms of their skill set.
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. That's a very philosophical question for a Thursday afternoon, but I think it's well worth answering. I think there's a lot in that, in the same way that blockchain is in a sense agnostic. It can be applied in lots of different contexts. Yeah. Equivalently, the ability to move people out of, I'm sure you've heard this seems to be a current saying, kind of being in your lane, that people are defined in a sense by the one set of skills that they have. Yeah. What transversal skills and the ability to use, transversal skills with a growth mindset, for example, is allow people to have agency beyond what they do at the moment and to disrupt what expectations people may have for them. So it's a really powerful enabler for individuals to become kind of the key agent in their own success. Now, I do think that, when we talk about transversal skills, I think that the word is interesting and differentiated from transferable skills. Transfer implies moving from one place to another, which is fine. So if you're an accountant in one firm, you can probably use accountancy skills in a different firm. Transversal skills are about that phrase I used in the title. It's about building bridges. It's about moving and connecting disciplines and domains and competencies one to another, so that over our career, we build a network of expertise, which becomes unique to who we are as people and becomes part of our signature.
Absolutely. Definitely agree with you in ways. And, I think in most cases, we do have a particular skill set in sort of human capacity, but we sort of limit it because we only have the experience sort of in that particular skill set. And I mean, this is my observation. I'm talking from what I have seen over the years. And it's great really to see this, how you are sort of expanding and enabling people to sort of, diversify in many ways across disciplines as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, you're welcome. I'm really consumed at the moment by a theory called adjacent possibilities. It's the idea that if we are here and we want to get to here, it's impossible to make the jump one across to the other. But if you move incrementally along a path, just the very path of moving from here to here opens up a set of new adjacent possibilities that allows you then to move to here, which allows you to move to here and allows you to move to here. So this idea of adjacency is really important in terms of kind of technology. If you think about the phone that you have now, your smartphone that you have, which started off probably as a bunch of silo technologies on different devices. Over the last decade, 2 decades or so, through convergence, and the adjacency and the capability of digital ones and zeros to communicate one to the other has allowed the convergence not just of these services that your phone provides, but the adjacency of all of the potential that you can use as a result of that. And I think people have the capability to carry out that same sort of approach in terms of their own career development.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Artie.
Thanks, Michael, for the great presentation. So you said like the micro-credential, it's like for both the areas, like even for the students as well as for the experienced professionals. So does the thing changes? Does the structure or the program changes for each person? Like how do you accommodate both of them in the same course?
That's a great question. Thank you. This is going to be a feature of university and academic life in the 21st century. In the olden days, when we used to teach people, you might come in and do a course in business, and everybody in the class you knew wanted to learn the skills associated with that, whatever. So heterogeneity, so homogeneity. Everyone was the same, wanted the same outcomes, all the same goals. What we're seeing now, and certainly in the programs I've developing over the last few years, is a heterogeneous group of people who come in because they have one set of skills that they need to learn, but what they plan to do with those skills is completely different. So it's really interesting and real interesting challenge in terms of how do you design a course in order to fulfill everybody's expectations of what's valuable to them. And of course, the answer is through the act of co-creation and peer learning and peer sharing. So the curriculum we've put together for this program gives people the menu of what's important in terms of digital transformation based on the expertise in IVI and based on the research that we've done over the last decade or so. The tools, the exercises, the approaches that we use in order to help people fulfill their own goals are essentially to say, this is the context, this is the suite of things that you can leverage as you achieve your own, as you kind of move towards your own objective. But the way that you do that, the kind of roadmap that you have for that is entirely unique for you to create. And part of our job as educators then is less about information transfer and just sharing knowledge, in the old-fashioned chalk and talk way, and facilitating your journey. So it's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of, as I say, empowering people to decide what's important for themselves, test that out, experiment with it, and see if it fits in with what their career goals and objectives are. So when we talk about the program, it's been approved by the University Academic Council. It's academically robust. It's well designed. It's been signed off. But it allows people to use their intelligence and their motivation and their problem-solving skills to pull exactly what they need from the set of information that's available and focus them on what their goals and objectives are, which is why the last part of the course is about, it's essentially a 2-day design thinking workshop. And the purpose of that is to allow people who will do the course to pick some kind of challenge that they have. It may be a business challenge, it may be an academic challenge, and use the design thinking process and use the kind of that iterative model of moving from discovery through to solution to find an approach that solves the problem for them.
Yeah, thank you.
Just on, thanks, Michael, for the very interesting. And just building on what you were saying, when you talk about empowering people, and is something that resonates with me. But so who should choose this course? Because this is interesting. Is that, for example, it's mainly, of course, a focus for workers, for people who are working in organization. Of course, not only them. But is, for example, assuming that I'm working in an organization, is the organization that chooses the courses and thinks, okay, this is the skills that I need, so I should attend, or it's myself that somehow I empower and I understand that you were talking at the beginning of new skills, lifelong learning and this kind of thing, so that I find by myself as a worker that I need those skills. And then I go to the micro-credential course. So how should come the decision to take the course from the kind of top-down approach, or my kind of bottom-up, so from the workers or from the company?
Thanks, Marco. That's a great question. We've designed it so that it's accessible through both of those routes. So this, I guess we would say, we would see this as a foundational course. So this is really like learning your ABCs for digital, for individual to, who maybe want to acquire new skills and competencies. So it's something that I think they could go on as part of their own professional development, or even social development activity, because a lot of the things in it will be applicable beyond pure workplace economics, but also in order to enable companies to build their staff's their staff skill sets. So depending, I would say that this is the equivalent of a good, robust introductory program that will allow both individuals and organizations to get a solid grounding in the dynamics of digital transformation and what it means for them. I mean, I guess our own ambition would be over time would be to use this almost like the base, if you can imagine a base of a Lego set, and kind of plug in new modules on top of this and give people, a range of options in the future that they might do one, do this foundational one to start, and then look at something around, for example, data privacy, about, for example, project management using digital technology, about agile thinking, about a whole range of different things that they could essentially assemble that allows them to build the kind of the work or skills portfolio that they think will help them thrive. Certainly, I mean, I think a subject close to your heart, when you look now at healthcare, digital healthcare in the future, as you move away from analog methods of treatment and so on, for patients to have the agency to contribute to their own treatment pathways requires that they understand technology, so that they can understand their own data metrics if they're catching stuff on their watch, but also when they talk to clinicians and so on, that they understand that the monitoring devices they use or the treatment devices they use are the right ones for the healthcare challenges that they have.
Actually, it makes sense.
Michael, I just have a quick question. I'm conscious it's coming up to 2, but you touched just on it's well set out the topics, the first 4 topics that we'd cover, and obviously the 2 sessions, the workshops, just in terms of what that would look like, those design workshops. Do you envisage that we'd work in project teams with maybe in similar fields, or I'm conscious you mightn't have that, it'll depend on the profile, but is that the idea? We'd be learning from each other and do something that would be applicable? Would we work in teams, I suppose, rather than individually? Or
yeah, that's exactly it. So our experience is that a small, fairly agile team of 2 or 3 people. And so in some organizations, people will join, there'll be 2 or 3 from that company, and they will essentially form a little project team. But across most of the equivalent workshops that I've done over the last 4 or 5 years or so, there's usually sufficient overlap in terms of what people's challenges are. It might be a people challenge around human resource management. It might be something around project delivery. It might be something with supply chain. There's kind of top line areas where people always have some kind of challenge, where they'll find some common cause with somebody else in the course. So the idea will be that while you might have very specific goals based on, you know, your particular deliverables, you will be able to, you know, kind of collaborate and work with people who have similar interests and outcomes to you, but also, you know, cross-pollinate with people with completely different needs and objectives. And there's a richness in that. I think that's worth exploring.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Michael. Again, I love that adjacent possibility idea, you know, in terms of career development. So thank you for that. I'm going
You're
to
welcome.
look a little bit more at that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. And thanks again, Michael. We're just at 2 o'clock, but feel free to get in touch, Michelle, if you have any more questions, of course. So again, just to mention, you know, for anyone new that has joined today, thank you again, everyone, for joining. And if you have any questions or want to reach out about anything, feel free to contact us here at IVI at the info email. You can get us on Twitter, LinkedIn. And just to mention, our next week Coffee Talk, as part of the Love Data Week 2023, we will have our Coffee Talk from Marcus Hadford, Denise Manton and Darragh O'Brien on love, data and coffee. So we look forward to that next week. And again, just to mention, anyone is more than welcome to get in touch if they ever want to present any other week for available dates. Just contact myself on the info email if you have any interest. You're more than welcome. So thank you all very much. And thanks again, Michael.